Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the Galactic Ambassadors podcast. My name is Ursula O'Farrell, and I'm co hosting with the Ascension Playground today and my dear friend Julia Balaz. You can find more about her amazing online astrology courses that go into the galactic on galacticastrology.com. So, without further ado, Julia and I would like to congratulate and celebrate our newest practitioner who's made it through the certification course. Congratulations, Sibyl Star.
Super well done. Welcome.
Great.
Welcome,
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, for doing this interview. And Julia, thank you so much for creating this program. It's really fabulous.
We are meeting Soul Family this year in 2022. And this program that Julia has created and founded is engaging us all on a global level. Now, Julia is calling in from Ireland. And then both Sibyl and I are landing in from California. So thank you, Sibyl, for joining us. And Julie and I were so excited to meet you because we want to hear a little bit about your past, how you came upon, this journey, this beautiful journey that you've been on. And then, of course, we'd love to know about your present and then, of course, your future. But without further ado, let's hear about your story, Sibyl. How is it that you came upon this path of spiritual awakening?
Well, my story starts when I was around 12. I was in sixth grade and I was in Catholic school. And it was the year that Vatican II happened. And they started making all these changes. They said, well, God said this and God said that. And then suddenly it was, no, God didn't say that. And we're changing all these things that I'd grown up with. And I was started to really question what's going on here. And at the same time, I discovered astrology. I discovered a woman named Sybil. I found her book. I don't know how. It was in my first my first Jupiter return year. And I said, oh my God, something that makes sense. Because I was feeling really lost and confused. And, because I had been kind of like a little mystic, it's kind of seeing Mary in the trees and, just who knows if it was real, but I thought it was. And, but then everything kind of fell apart and astrology came in and it was like, oh my God, this makes sense. I get it. It was self-validating. I have 5 planets in Aquarius, and I so related to whatever it was she said. And I just continued to really be involved with astrology in some way. I was in high school, I always went to the library. I always went to the occult book sections and pulled out everything I could find. And, into my 20s, I started making charts. And, but, as they say, life got in the way. And, I was in an abusive relationship, and I fortunately had the ability to go to nursing school. And I was a nurse for 40 years, and nursing really, it was a real gift to me. And because I'm someone who really likes to be in service and felt really good being in service. And the last 15 years I worked in hospice. And I saw people like a visiting nurse at home. But about 20 years ago, I took up astrology again, my mid 40s. It's more like 25 years ago or more. I've had a concurrent path ever since. I've really done nursing part-time, astrology part-time, and I retired from nursing a year ago, about a year and a half ago. And so that's where I started.
Wow, you have a lot of planets you have a stellium in 4th house, don't you, as well, with that Aquarius?
Right. So that question of who am I has been, and it's like, and so the astrology has been pieces of that, and the galactic astrology opens it up even more, those deeper levels of who am I. That's been my question my whole life with that 4th house stellium.
if you don't mind me sharing, with the Ascendant in Libra, I believe it's yours is conjuncting Arcturus star, right? And
Right.
the immense ability that you're describing of you feeling so compassionate and so compelled to be of service to others. It's like a blueprint, like a signature trait of Arcturian star seeds, or someone who has connection to the Arcturus stars. It's just amazing how much they can be helping others. And I believe your, if I may say so, your energy is very healing. So I can only imagine how much you may have touched people's lives during your nursing years and made a difference in their experience in difficult times without you even consciously doing it. Like it's just you being you, and the energy that works through you in direct contact with others. Like I bet Arcturian frequency was there throughout that time. Have you become consciously aware of it at any point?
I became, I actually had a meditation where I became aware that I have Arcturian guides, and they showed me my birth.
Oh, wow.
And, because and they showed me, they helped me through, because I was born breech back in 1950, and they didn't really do cesarean, and I got one leg caught. And I mean, it was the whole thing. And anyway, they have come in recently and really shown me some things about myself, especially in those transitional doorways. And of course, that they were with me the whole time I was doing hospice.
I bet. That is so beautiful to see. Wow. Thank you for sharing. And what a beautiful validation to see it in the chart, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I guess then I would say I studied astrology with Stephen Forrest. I was part of his initial, very first AP group back in the late 90s. Synchronicity would have it. He came to Kansas City, where I was living. I was living in the heart of the US. That's, those 5 planets in Aquarius in the 4th house. It was really hard to be seen for who I was there. But anyway, Steve came, and I studied with him, and that really, and I had been studying with other astrologers, but it was a really great experience, and I learned so much. And that's what really, I think, started my ability to believe in myself, that I could do readings. And I started doing readings soon after that, and have just been doing that. And I've been doing readings now for about over 20 years. So yeah. And I feel like it's another form of service. It's absolutely another form of service.
Incredible. I feel so honored that you felt called to explore galactic astrology and add it to your repertoire. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, when I saw it, Julie, I mean, it was like just a sudden hit. It was like, yes, it was just a yes. And I'd been really kind of feeling like something was missing in my astrology practice. I was getting a little bored. Something wasn't lining up quite right. And it was like just an immediate yes. I took the shorter program first, and before I was finished with that, I had signed up for the other program, and knew that this was absolutely my path. Something interesting happened. I did have a reading with Debbie Solaris several years ago. And I wanted to share 2 things about that. One, what she saw for me lined up so incredibly beautifully with what my chart said. It wasn't in the same order. It was a bit different, but the same star nations were there. Okay. And she said that was one piece. And the other piece was, she said she saw me in the higher dimensional levels of Altair. And that I was part of a group that traveled around the galaxy studying of the star nations. And that I became like a cosmic anthropologist. And this is where I learned astrology. And so so the galactic astrology is really more, it is the cosmic anthropology. It is the understanding of the different star nations. It's kind of like, meet your star family, who are they? Who are they? That they're, anyway.
That is so exciting.
This is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing it. And isn't that interesting that I believe Mercury and Venus is conjuncting Altair, and your midheaven is opposing Altair. So like you have the Stargate of Altair aligned to your planets and to the path of service. Do you resonate with her? It almost feels like sisters or soul family or something.
Yeah, I do. I do resonate with Debbie. I really like her work. Yeah.
There's a physical resemblance too.
Is there?
And if anyone is listening and they don't know DebbieSolaris.com, she's been on Gaia TV with Open Minds, Regina Meredith, and George Norrie. So if you're into the galactic, Debbie Solaris is certainly one to listen to, along with Julia Balaz and Lissa Royal Holt. So I'm going to just elbow in here into this beautiful conversation to say what's coming through for me, Sibyl, is this common denominator of being the healer. You know, so when you've got this connection to Altair, the eagle, Jupiter, carrying the thunderbolts of Jupiter and working with the cosmos, this idea of healing on all levels and Arcturian energy. I don't know if you follow cryon.com, but this is the loving Arcturians who kiss us at the moment of physical birth and then also move towards this shaft of light as we move into the next realm upon passing. So I got to just bring up now this idea of that you and I are both connected to what's called the Stargate Academy or the Stargate Experience based in Mount Shasta, channeling a beautiful entity named Alcazar through Pragit and Julianne. So if you don't mind, could you just share a little bit about how you found your way also to the Stargate?
Well, how I found my way to the Stargate, I moved to California 15 years ago. And I discovered when I came here that I fell in love with a place in California called Mount Shasta. And I have been there. I go every year. It's like a pilgrimage for me. And at some point, I discovered the spiritual group in Mount Shasta called the Stargate Experience. And I started, as part of my trip to Mount Shasta, my yearly trip, I started attending events that they had. And what I liked so much about them is because they do call in the different star nations. I mean, you feel their energy, you know they're there. That is it's a phenomenal experience. That's who they work with. And then the last time I actually worked with them was when I went to Greece. And I went to Greece with them. And I've actually been to Greece 3 times and Delphi 3 times, but one of the trips was with them, and I have a real deep soul connection to Delphi. But anyway, that's the Stargate experience is a really they do incredible work. Is what I want to say. Real consciousness expanding, opening work and connecting us to other dimensions.
I just wanted to give a shout out to them in particular because having trained as a facilitator for the Stargate, I was always wondering what their names were. What are the names of these beautiful star families that I could feel and sense? But somehow in 3D, knowing the name, the vibration, which planet or constellation they're from, enter Julia Balaz with Galactic Astrology and this free online calculator. So when you saw the first time you saw your actual oh my God.
What can you say? Yeah. It's incredibly, well, just personally, it was validating, but as a tool, it's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to have to share this beautiful YouTube celebration of your graduation with our dear friends in Mount Shasta. And for anyone listening, Mount Shasta is an incredible portal. It's actually an intergalactic portal, and they see ships often. But the Telosians, those with the inner earth beings, also are holding that energy space. So when you study Cryon, he calls that one of the nodal points of an axis for all of Gaia. So, and it has a counterpart as well, as you probably know, when we get into the matrix.
I had an experience. I had this beautiful astrological event coming up. It was a Jupiter, Neptune, Chiron in Aquarius, at 26 degrees of Aquarius, where my sun is, conjunct. And I said, oh, I'm going to the mountain to pray. And I have this incredible door open, this Native American woman doing this herbal medicine, the Choctaw teachings. Anyway, I moved up there and I said, I'm going to the mountain to pray. Well, little did I know, when I went to Mount Shasta to pray and moved up there, I didn't know the prayer would take me to my knees. My whole world fell apart. And, but it came back together in such a beautiful way. It was a world that needed to fall apart. But they say when you go to Mount Shasta, all the stuff you haven't dealt with, it all comes up so that you can really step into more of who you are. And anyway, it was an incredibly powerful experience. So I lived there for four months.
Well, next time you go, you call me and let me know, and we'll go girl trip up there.
I've got a Mount Shasta partner, right? And then I have one other thing I really do want to share, and it's when I came to California, I really put on my spiritual growth hat. It was an acceleration of spiritual growth, and I became involved with a group called the Center for Sacred Studies, and they are the group that, if you're familiar with the International Council of the 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, they are the ones that put that together. We served them. That's where my reverend came from, Reverend Sibyl Star. I am a reverend of her walking prayer of the mother of the goddess, but in a more indigenous wisdom. And so I have a lot of connections there as well.
Oh, I just love you.
Oh, thank you.
Pachamama, here we come. Well, Now might be a good time to share your beautiful website. So here we are on sibylstar.com. If you want to get to know Sybil a little bit more, she's got a biography, her Star Nation Oracle posts and video. She's got her services, which will now include Galactic Astrology, soul readings for individuals, for private use, online classes. And Sybil, I checked out your amazing YouTube channel and, of course, subscribed right away. Here you're on a Third Eye Radio. Love it. Anything you want to say about your site before we...
Well, I have videos on my site. I have video. I do a monthly, not a monthly. I do a new moon video, and I do a weekly video called Moon Day Morning Astrology. And I teach classes. I teach 2 classes a month, and I do readings and everything. You can access all of that from my website, including my YouTube channel where I have all my videos. But I've been doing videos for quite a while. And the Star Nation Oracle came about in 2013 because, the indigenous people are so connected to whom they call the Star Nations. They know their cosmology, their ancestry, their star ancestors. And that's really where when I was deeply involved with the Center for Sacred Studies, where a lot of my teachings came from.
Wow. And I got to just ask you, can you just let us know about your name, Sibyl Star, and its connection?
Right,
you alluded to Greece and Delphi, but tell us a little bit more.
There you go. Yes. So it is a chosen name. And of course, I told you that the first astrology connection I had was a woman named Sybil Leek. And I just simply became aware of the Sibyls of the ancient world. And my original name that I was born with never felt right. It was like people would say it and I would kind of look and say, like, who are you talking to? Because it just never felt right. And so what year was that? I think it was 2001 is when I changed my name. And when I did go to Greece, I went with my former partner and, I jumped over the little gate, not a gate, a rope, and ran over and got my picture taken with the Rock of the Sibyl. And my partner said, oh, she's just returning to her old workplace. That's all it is. And then I had an Akashic record reading where I was told that I had been the oracle at Delphi 3 times. And, when I looked back over that, it was like, that went on for 2,000 years. There were thousands of women who have that role. It's not unreasonable to believe that that could be. And I would say my astrology chart supports that. I have the asteroid Pythia conjunct my south node. And if you know that, the Pythia is the name of the oracle at Delphi. And it just, anyway, so I just have, and in my galactic chart, I really feel like I have Hydra opposite my sun. And I feel like that is a big piece of that energy there, that oracular energy. And this time it's coming through astrology, but it's come through in other ways in other lives.
I had so many goosebumps as you were talking.
Yeah. And I've also done some sacred pilgrimages. I went to Egypt, which was an incredible experience. And I've been to, like I said, Greece 3 times. I've swam with the dolphins in the wild, which is another, incredibly peak experience. So those are some, I guess, maybe some highlights of my life.
What a lifetime, and what a blessing in disguise for you to wait out the certain period of time as a nurse assisting people the way you did, while the consciousness of humanity was still somewhat sleeping, and you really kind of needed to wait until they awaken to be able to receive your wisdom in a graceful way, in a playful way. And when the time came, you started coming out and now blossoming, and maybe blessed even more exposure. I'm just so grateful and so honored and so delighted to now start sending more people your way and just sharing the word. Oh, what a blessing. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I can't help but think of Manly P. Hall in his book of The Secrets of All. And there's a picture of the Oracle of Delphi sitting on this high-level chair over a sacred water pool. And then there's men who are trying to write down all of her words, the oracle's messages. It wasn't an easy task, but I can actually see you up there offering this wisdom, and yet you feel so grounded. The nurse, the body. I mean, you're not in Kansas anymore, right?
And I was a single mother, I have a son and 3 grandchildren, but I was a single mother. And it was like I had lived most of my life on the edge. But when I had to be a single parent, I had to be a single parent. And that's really what drove me to be, into nursing. And I'm so grateful it did.
That's a great segue then into, let's look, we've heard about your beautiful past and we've seen your present, and definitely everyone check out your moon day every week, your forecasts on Sibyl's beautiful YouTube channel, Sibyl Star. Now let's talk about the future and this idea of you being able to connect with the cosmos and have engagement with the divine beingness of the stars and the star families. And yet you can bring it down to earth very, very matter-of-factly. Tell us a little bit about where you're headed now as a certified practitioner for Galactic Astrology soul readings.
Well, when I looked at my chart, and 5 planets in Aquarius, sun and moon included, in the 4th house, the house of home and family and genealogy, I said, oh my God, I'm a cosmic genealogist. This is, and so I really feel that's my calling, is to, I've been listening to Bashar lately. I don't know if you follow him, but I really like a lot of the things he says. And he says, we've never left source. This is a dream. This is an experience, and we are our experience. So I feel like it is a piece of remembering. It is. And he also said that, or maybe it wasn't, maybe it was Lisa Royal Holt, because I also follow her and love her as well so much, that, our 3D experience here on Earth, we have separated as far as we can from source. And I used to call it the return, but I think it's a remembering. It's an awakening and a remembering in two ways. One is the memory itself. The other is putting ourselves back together, calling all of our pieces home. And the Galactic Astrology, I think it identifies, it's, whether it's factual and we're living in multidimensional lives right now, which is, this is, I believe that's absolutely true, that we're having experiences in everything is happening at once in other dimensions. So it's calling those pieces home. It's a remembering, bringing them back together into wholeness. And I feel like that's what the Galactic Astrology is about. And that's my hope, is that I'm able to help people remember who they are.
Beautiful. There was one little sentence that I really want to highlight when you mentioned that when you were a single mother to your son, you knew that you kind of had to be that. And I wanted to ask that, have you had at the back of your mind a knowing, a sense of a greater mission, that there is so much more, have you had that dichotomy of, or did you just, were you quite at peace?
No. I knew I had a greater mission, but I also knew that I had responsibilities and I had to have my feet on the ground. But I always had a sense of a greater mission. And I really feel like my greater mission is related to the work that I'm doing. I actually feel like, Altair, I'm on a mission from Altair. And it has to do with astrology, and it has to do with the fourth house, the remembering, the coming back together.
Excellent. Thank you. The reason why I'm asking is because I know mothers who are having that deep, strong sense of greater mission, and they are watching what we can do, and they feel saddened that they are not there yet. And they're so capable. They're super women. They have superpowers. I mean, the amount of stuff a single mother who has gone through a lot in the relationship can achieve is phenomenal. Like, they should be receiving medals for bravery and for the incredible strength that they portray. But I just want to send this message out to them to help them be more patient and trust that their time will come. When
and it's important to remember that, we become who we are by every step we take, even though they may feel like, I'm not doing what I want to do. It is part of who you are. And that door is continuing to open. It's like we couldn't be who we are unless we took every step that we took to be who we are at this point. And I would say in nursing, I learned so much compassion. I mean, it opened my heart in so many ways. And, it's like, that's where the real juice is in the heart. That's where we make the dimensional shifts. It's in the heart. It doesn't come from the mind. It comes from the heart. And so we're having these experiences of love and the expansion of the heart. And they're not always fun, because our hearts, sometimes they say, our hearts need to break to open, so, and the other thing is that I've just recently learned from Bashar is to follow your excitement. Like he said, and it's not like my dream job. It's like, I have a moment right now. What is more exciting, to do the dishes or call my friend? He says, first, call your friend. Because that will then fill you up with the energy to do the other chores you have to do. But he said that's how you find your way, is in every moment choose what is most exciting to you.
Wow, this is so beautifully said.
Yeah.
If I could just add a note about, there are women who make choices when I was going to school and college, whether to be a parent or to be an artist. You had to choose one way. And I said, no, I can do both. So as a mother of many children, I just kind of kept reminding myself, I'm focusing on the motherhood. This is life content. Hopefully I'll live long enough to be able to express it. But the paintbrushes did get set aside. And so I'm thinking of you in the heart of America, in Kansas City, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Before you were Sibyl Star, now in California. This idea of a journey, an evolutionary journey. And if you look at Julia's Galactic Astrology calculator and you do the charts of your children, you can almost see and track through synastry, this is why we're here together again, not by accident, but by divine orchestration. So here we are together. It might be messy. It might be uncomfortable. It could be dark. It could be like, oh my God, how are we going to pay the bills? But like you're saying, how to hold the space for in this moment. This is where you're healing as a nurse, like okay, right now, today, not the past, not the future, just right now. And so I love Julia's heart because hers is also committed to this idea of ancestral clearing, womb healing, really sitting well with yourself, but identifying the wounds and then moving through them, like you've been saying, Sibyl. I mean, the three of us, we could just have a little tea party. It's such a delight to meet you. And I was just going to, perhaps as we're closing, ask, we have this ever expanding global class of classmates who are working towards their certification, Sybil. And some are either new to astrology and have never taken astrology, but took the plunge into the deep end of the pool. And Julia's class allows for a certain kind of, you can come in where you're at, but do you have a particular message, Sibyl Star, for our dear classmates who might be feeling a little, can I make it to the certification celebration point?
I would say, even for me, it was, I have a lot of astrology experience. But I've also noticed that people coming in with different psychic skills, I think it's a combination of both. It's like we all have our own tools. And I feel like this class allows for I think the psychic component is every bit as important as the astrology piece. The astrology piece takes time to learn. And it may be for some people, it's not as important because they have other skills, like the accessing the Akashic records. I think, and this is something I've just learned in my life, everybody has their own gift, their own skill. And I think Julia's class allows each person to utilize whatever it is their gift and skill is.
I love that, because what you're saying again is what Bashar said, follow your excitement.
Yeah.
Like, quit editing yourself. I tell this to myself, like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not ready enough. Maybe I'll just play small. But if the excitement is to take a jump into the deep end, there's a lot of friendly people here from around the world, multiple languages. I mean, I can't even count them off because there's so many. But I want to thank Julia, and I'm going to probably embarrass her a little bit here, because I see Julia Balaz as an incredible activator. Yes, she's a researcher. Yes, she's a teacher. Yes, she's gorgeous and loving, but she really has an energy of activation. So the minute, like you said, you kind of were introduced to Julia on YouTube, let's say, there is some powerful like pull, a magnetism that says, just try it. Would you get out of your way? Just give it a shot. What do you got to lose? You could stay, hidden, but you just might surprise yourself and meet some friends and learn that the language of astrology is not as difficult, because you'll come in with, like you said, your own toolkit and experiences, and then you'll be able to help navigate others who are in that same kind of place that you are.
Yeah, it's like everyone has their own tool to open the door to other dimensions, to other realms, and astrology is just one tool. And I know astrologers who actually just use it as a tool to open the door, and then they just kind of go on their own psychic journey, whatever it is they're seeing, and it may not, it kind of like opens the door. That's it. And we each have that tool that opens the door to get us to that space. And I think the Galactic Astrology allows for many different tools to be used to open that door.
I love that. So beautifully said. Thank you so much for highlighting that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yes. And I do also want to thank you, Julia, for how sensitive and kind you are as an instructor.
Thank you so much. It means the world to me.
Yeah.
I have to say, I heard Bashar saying the follow your excitement years ago, and it accelerated my life big time. It's a everyday mantra experience. It works.
Oh, that is great to hear. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to wrap up by saying congratulations, Sybil. Thank you, Julia. And we look forward to celebrating more friends on the Galactic Ambassadors podcast. See everybody next time.
Cheerio.
Thank you.